Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Northeast Hoopcast. Today I'm joined by Marist basketball player as well as South Kent alum Matt McCool. Matt, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Let's get started. Obviously, you just finished your freshman year at Marist. What was it like committing to Marist? Was it a dream come true for you?
Yeah, it was really exciting. Committing to Marist, um, it was kind of a crazy time in my life just because I was during COVID and also a point in my recruiting that I had been preparing myself for and getting ready for several years. So when I committed to Marist, um, it was really exciting. I knew it was going to be a really good place for me. And I was just excited to kind of start the new chapter in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. And especially during COVID, with so much uncertainty, you're able to do that. It gets a lot of weight off your shoulders, especially with the school that you love so much.
Mhm.
So what was it about Marist? Was it the program, the campus, the coaching staff?
Well, I'd say first and foremost, the coaches really seem to care about me a lot. At the time, I was talking to a handful of Division I schools, and um, a lot of the coaches were kind of just talking to me casually and not really talking about how they saw me fitting into their program, into their school. Um, So when the Marist coaches started recruiting me, they were calling me every day, talking to me every day, calling my parents, talking to my siblings, talking to my high school coaches, my prep coaches, my AAU coaches, and just really making me feel like it's a place where they really want me and they are going to love me and it'll be a good fit for sure.
Yeah, and when there's so much effort surrounding you, it's hard to say no to a recruitment process like that. And then yeah, you mentioned Coach Dunn a little bit. Take me through what it was like to, finally meet him in person.
Yeah, so it's super exciting. I hadn't actually met Coach Dunn when I even committed, or at least in person. I had met one of the assistant coaches who saw me play originally, and then I had talked to all the coaches a lot, on Zoom, on FaceTime, on text, um, fairly often. But then when I first got to come to Marist and meet the coaches that I was already at that time committed to and see the school, I was just really, really excited because I felt a instant connection with really all the coaches. They're all the type of coaches that I would like to coach me, and I think that I can play my best under. And I just have really appreciated all of them. Um, they've really been a big help for me in making this step to college pretty easy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And not only did they do that for you, and I've been to Marist before. It's a beautiful campus. You got the
Yeah,
river right behind it. Looks so good in the fall. So really
yeah,
exciting
it's
stuff.
awesome.
Um, yeah, and then you get practicing with them and stuff like that. What's the coaching style that the staff brings?
The coaching style I would say is just um, everyone on the court and on the team just being ultra connected. Always making sure that we're covering for each other. We're always going to be making mistakes on the court. So being able to have other guys out there with you that are and really trust will cover you if you mess up, and knowing that you're there to have your teammates back, really through anything. And so that kind of flows into our offense where we really are looking to share the ball, get each other open shots, and just make the extra pass always. And really just finding the best shot for our team and not really thinking as individuals. And then the same on defense. Um, Defense in college is really, really hard. And because there's so many really good offensive players. So it doesn't take you can't guard just one person. It has to be all five people guarding together and knowing that, okay, if I get beat, I have four other guys behind me that are going to be there and I know where they're going to be. They know where I'm going to go. And it's just a unit. So that's kind of really the style that they help facilitate, I would say. Um, It's just everyone really playing together and having each other's backs, just generally, but then as far as game plan as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that connection and being together and playing together. You say that, and I'm gonna get into it a bit later, but some of what you were able to do at the end of the year, that kind of
Mhm.
makes more sense when your guys are all connected and they're on the same page like that. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I was looking at your schedule. You guys went to London this year, which is pretty cool. Played a game
yeah.
against UMaine there. Just take me through that trip. Was it more business, or were you getting to see the sights and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, we were really, really excited for it. It was going to be the first college basketball game ever played at the O2 Arena in London, which is this beautiful, beautiful arena there, where there's been a lot of really cool events over the years, including the Olympics, obviously. But um, yeah, we were really excited for it, but we knew we were going there for business. We're going there to play a basketball game, and we weren't really treating it much differently than any other away game that we might have. Obviously, the time change mainly kind of made it a little difficult to adjust, but we really just stayed busy the first few days. We got there maybe 3 or 4 days ahead of time, had a day to just kind of rest, get our legs under us a little bit. And then it was kind of a lot of going to random gyms across London and having practices, having shoot arounds, having walkthroughs, but then also at the hotel having a lot of film, and just making sure that it would be a great trip, finished off by a win. So that was obviously our first priority and only priority. So being able to play right directly before Kentucky and Michigan, that was really cool. And it was just such a big event. And to go there and win a really close game, it made the trip so much better, so much better. So unfortunately, I was pretty sick the last couple of days of the trip. We were only there one full day after our game. But everyone was just so tired because we had been so busy and the time change and the stress of the game and just the schedule we were on with the travel. Everyone was just exhausted, but it was a really great trip and definitely a game and a trip that I'll never forget.
Yeah, that definitely makes it worth it, especially because you won. Because you're not gonna get those trips every year, most likely. So,
Yeah.
really unique and really cool thing that you guys did this year.
Hmm.
Um, let's get into kind of the MAAC schedule. First, like, what's the competition like in that conference?
The MAAC is a really, really tough conference. It's ultra physical, extremely, extremely competitive. And just every team thinks that they're the best team and that they can win it. So there's no teams that really are much better than any other team. And so every single game you're walking into knowing it's going to be a dogfight, whether it's the top team in the conference or the last team in the conference, it's going to be a fight, and it's just going to be really physical. There's a lot of experienced older guys in this league, and just a lot of really tough guys, really, really tough guys. So yeah, I'd say this league it's really all about how well you're playing together, how you're feeling as a team, how tough you are as a team, to how bad you want it as a team, really, because most of the teams are very close in skill and athleticism and kind of in the tangible things. So it's a lot about who's the tougher team, who wants it more, and those kind of things.
Mhm. Yeah, and the grit in that type of stuff. We saw St. Peter's go to the national tournament, and they went on that crazy run because of grit and because they wanted it more and all that stuff. And then
Yeah.
programs like Iona, excuse me, they have Rick Pitino now, so they're always going to be a dog. It's always going to be a dog fight when you go up against them. Speaking of dog fights, though, what are some rivalries that Marist has?
Um, Definitely, I would say for our biggest rivalries, Iona is always a rivalry, just because they've historically been a really good team, and last year obviously they had Rick Pitino, so playing against them is always a lot of fun, and it's going to be exciting atmosphere, whether it's at Marist or at Iona. But then another one of our biggest rivals is Siena. We've had a long time rivalry with Siena, and I know when they come to Marist, they bring busfuls of fans and their band, and it just leads to a lot of really cool environments and just makes it a lot of fun to play in. So those are definitely games that me and my teammates are all looking forward to this upcoming year.
Mhm. Yeah, and the in-state rivalry with Siena, especially when they pack those buses, is something else. How far is Siena,
Yeah.
by the way, from Marist?
I'm not sure. Maybe about 2 hours or so, maybe less than that. But they there's a lot of fans that make the drive, so
Mhm.
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and now going through the year in the MAAC, you got wins against Manhattan, and then you were able to beat Niagara and Canisius twice. But at the end of regular season play, you guys were 6-14 in the conference. What was the mood and the mindset from throughout the squad going into the tournament?
Well, I think early on in the year we had so many new guys, and we weren't really sure how everything was gonna fit together. And it it took us probably half the season to kind of start to figure that out, and kind of figure out how we were going to play as a team. And unfortunately, at that point, we had already lost a lot of games that we knew were really winnable. And we just felt like if we got our stuff together, then most of those losses would have been wins. So as the season was going forward, we were just gaining more and more confidence, feeling as good as possible as a team. We knew that we would get an automatic bid into our conference tournament. So we were mainly just focused on feeling as good as possible, feeling as confident as possible going into the tournament. And then once the tournament came around, we knew we had a clean slate, and it was a big opportunity for us to start from scratch. And those early season losses couldn't affect us. And all that mattered was how we were feeling on those game days in the tournament when we ended up going on a run.
Mhm. Yeah, and that first game in that run was against Manhattan. You had, like I said, you beat them in the regular season. You won that game by double digits. Do you feel like because you were just in one spot in Atlantic City and because you got to play a couple days earlier that do you think it was easy to ride that momentum?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I mean, we were just feeling really confident in ourselves. So to have a first round win like that gave just kind of gave some credibility to our confidence, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, so that kind of really motivated us, and we we thought we would beat any team. Like we really did. I mean, we ended up losing to Iona, unfortunately, but we felt like there was nobody in the country that could beat us at that time.
Yeah, and I was kind of shocked, on your schedule, you played Quinnipiac to end the regular season. You lost by 12, I think, and then 5 days
Hmm.
later, you beat them by 16. Is that one of those games that the squad felt that they could have gotten back in the regular season?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to remember exactly, but I think it was a situation where in our final game at home was the Quinnipiac game, and if we would have beat them, we would have played them first round in playoffs. So we would have played them back to back. And that game ended a little chippy. And there was definitely a lot of trash talk, and that was a pretty heated game for us. So then to be able to have an opportunity to see them in the playoffs, we were really motivated to beat them. Like we felt like they they got one on us by beating us at home at the end of the season. And so we were just so confident and ready to go that game. It was we were not going to be denied.
Mhm. Yeah, so it was kind of you guys got the last laugh type of scenario. Yeah,
Yep.
that's cool. I didn't, yeah, obviously I didn't realize that if you had beat them, you would have played them literally not even less than 5 days later. So that would have been
Yeah.
um, kind of interesting to see if that had happened. Um,
Yeah.
so as that tournament run as a whole, does it get you and the guys excited for next season?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wasn't able to be on the court because I had an ankle sprain at the time. So I did not get any on-court experience, but especially the other guys around me and a lot of my teammates, all of us got so much experience from just really seeing it up close and getting a feel for how those games are played, because it's a different level of competitiveness, because you got some guys who have been playing college basketball for 3 and 4 years, maybe never have won really in the playoffs. And this is their final chance. This could be their final basketball game ever. So when it's that level and people are really, really locked in, and it's a whole different type of game in the playoffs. And that experience we gained was just so valuable for all of us, just to be able to see what that level is and know that this year we're hoping to make a similar run, obviously, and win the championship this year. So now we at least have a feel of, okay, what we know what that takes. We've seen it. We've been there. We've seen it up close. We felt what it feels like to be almost there. So I think that experience is going to lead us this year for sure.
Yeah, and it brings the squad closer too, like you said, obviously being there, watching it, seeing it, and gets you definitely excited and looking forward to the season we got upcoming. Gonna switch gears here, going to kind of some of your AAU experience. You played with some different teams while you were in high school. What were some of your favorite places, teams that you had?
Yeah, so my first ever AAU team and program was from just the next town over from my hometown in Nashua, New Hampshire. Um, and that was just kind of a team that I really started to love basketball and really started to think about, oh, I might be able to play in college when I get older. And I started kind of thinking about that at first. And a lot of my teammates are some of my best friends. From some of my teammates from that team are my best friends today. But then I had to make a hard decision to decide to play for a team from Boston, just because the competitiveness in New Hampshire wasn't up to what I needed to be and to challenge myself. So I wanted to play on a team from Boston. So I joined a team called Right Way Skills, and that team really, really helped me out. That was my first time playing with where I'm on the court and every player is a Division I level player. And there's a lot of really good players that played in that program. And then that program ended up the name got changed to the House We Built, which I ended up actually finishing my AAU career with. But yeah, through COVID, I had a pretty interesting AAU journey, because I played on this team, Right Way Skills, which then was called the House We Built. And then when I got hurt, I ended up missing my whole senior year of high school, my first year in prep school. And I decided I wanted to kind of reevaluate my goals a little bit. And I wanted to play for a team in the EYBL, which is a Nike sponsored AAU circuit. And I played for a team called BABC from Boston. And that was a really competitive team. That was a really great team to play with my final AAU summer, between my senior year and my postgraduate year. And that was a really great team. I ended up having to leave and go back to my original Boston AAU team called House We Built the final AAU weekend of my last AAU summer, just because this team BABC that I had played for, I just was not going to be able to get enough minutes realistically, to where I could show college coaches what I wanted to show them. And I mean, we had 12 guys on the team, and 11 are now playing Division I think. So it was really stacked, and I just wanted to be able to show college coaches a different role than they had me playing. So I ended up going back to the House We Built for my final AAU summer, and then that one weekend that I played for them, that's when Marist offered me.
Yeah,
So I know, I'm sorry if I'm a little bit confusing, but I just had an interesting journey, I guess, through my last AAU days.
yeah, you definitely did. Kind of just went up 360 and then ended up showing the coaches what you wanted, obviously. School,
Yeah,
all it takes is one school to contact you, and if you love them, you love them. So in the end, it
exactly.
ended up working out for you. So yeah, what were some tournaments that you played in you feel you played well or were just memorable to you?
Um, for a lot of tournaments, I played at a place called Spooky Nook, which is a big basketball facility in Pennsylvania. And that was it. That was where Marist ended up offering me and seeing me play for the first time. But I had played there several times at kind of various points in my life. So it was just kind of interesting to see that it was one of the first places, probably the first place that I ever played in front of any Division I coaches. And then kind of I played a lot of tournaments there, had some tough losses there, but then to end up getting an offer there, that was really exciting. But playing in the EYBL and going to see and going to Peach Jam, which is a big Nike tournament in Augusta, Georgia, and seeing just a different level of just kind of media, and every team's getting followed by a camera crew, and some players are getting followed by camera crews, and people are getting interviewed, and you're walking by people you see on TV, and you're walking by NBA players constantly, and it's just a crazy environment. But yeah, I would say probably the craziest tournament I played in was when it was my last weekend. I knew it was my last AAU weekend. No matter what, no matter if I played like crap, it was my last tournament. It didn't matter, and so I knew this is my final chance to show coaches what I wanted to show them. And then to have Marist offer me and then end up being the right place for me was just kind of a full circle moment again.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And yeah, I'm gonna go back to what you bring up about Peach Jam because a lot of what you see from like the public standpoint is just like the games and that type of action, and obviously to actually be there is like a whole different experience with all that media and all those cameras and all everything being recorded and just kind of something that as the general public doesn't really think about just
Yeah.
when they watch those tournaments. And then there was another question. Oh yeah, when you know there's gonna be a lot of scouts at a game, is there a different mental approach you take, or you just going out there and playing?
Um, at first I was a little nervous, I will say, just because it's something you kind of think about so much. But I don't know, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but once you start playing in front of enough college coaches and Division I coaches, it just it doesn't really matter anymore. Um, I have some funny stories from well, I remember my first day at Peach Jam. It was not like they have like certain days where college coaches can come watch, and we have a game on a day, and we know, yeah, there's not going to be any college coaches there. So then we walk in and we're warming up, and I'm looking, in this entire coaches section of the stands is packed. So I'm just thinking, I go to one of my teammates, I'm like, what are all those people doing over there? Like, what are those coaches doing? Like, I didn't know if they were maybe JUCO or I didn't know what. Turns out it's about 100 NBA coaches, NBA scouts, NBA coaches watching. And so I remember that for my first time playing in front of that many NBA eyes, I was like, wow, this is really crazy. This is a little crazy. But I don't know. I used to practice in front of Jawan Howard and Tom Izzo a ton in prep school. And I don't know. I just think, yeah, it kind of gets to a point where you're just like, yeah, whatever. It's just basketball.
Yeah, exactly. And it comes with the confidence too as you grow older. You start to understand your game more. You know what you're gonna go out there and you're gonna do it every time. So it doesn't really matter who's
Definitely.
watching you at that point. So yeah, I like that. Um, kind of just I don't really care type of attitude. Um,
Yeah.
how does AAU competition wise, play style wise, compared to what it was like playing prep?
Um, I would say the highest levels of prep and the highest levels of AAU, it's one pretty much the same pool of athletes. But it's much, much different basketball. AAU is you're playing a ton of games, not really practicing as much. It's more about showcasing individuals and isolation basketball, and maybe you have one guy on your team who's way, way better than everyone else. Um, but then in prep school, it's more it's a whole different experience. It's prep school is way more like college than it is AAU. Just in the fact that you're living with your teammates, you're practicing multiple times per day with them every day and eating with them and living with them, and just it's just a different level of kind of the overall team. In AAU, it's more of just kind of individuals getting together to play, and are more focused generally on scholarships and not winning as much. But then prep school, it's the idea is more if you win, the coaches will find you. All college coaches just want to find winning guys. So if you win, it doesn't matter how you play individually, the college coaches will come. So that's kind of the mindset more in prep school. So yeah, prep school is a lot more similar to college, in its play style than AAU.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. It's like AAU is more showcasey and prep's more just it's a what's the word? Like it's a culture, it's a team type of thing. So yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Hmm. And kind of transitioning into your high school career. There's a clip that I showed Matt. I'm just going to mention this. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it in the final video, but I believe we were both sophomores in high school.
Yeah. Yep.
You came up to our gym for a scrimmage, and I believe they won by a few baskets, but probably gave Matt the easiest basket he's ever had in his career. Just a little full court press. I was inbounding, a little scared sophomore trying to inbound the ball in the varsity game, and I just gave it right to Matt and went to the hoop, and I came out and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna get dunked on right now. But he went out easy on me and just laid it up for two. So yeah, kind of a cool thing between the two of us.
Yeah. Small world.
Exactly. Small world. So yeah, obviously Matt went to Sauhegan High School. It's in Amherst, New Hampshire. What was your time like there?
I loved my time there. My time there was a lot of fun, some of the best time of my life. Um, yeah, I was always my two older sisters, and now my younger brother are athletes at Sauhegan. So I kind of grew up going to football games there and watching my sisters play and stuff. And I was always excited to play there. And then when I did, it was just a lot of fun playing with guys that I'd been playing with during middle school and even when we were younger, and guys that I'd played other sports with growing up. So it was just a really fun environment to be in. Um, and unfortunately, I kind of realized that it wasn't the best basketball environment I could be in, but it was definitely a lot of fun to be able to play and represent my hometown, and play in front of all my family and all my friends. And it was definitely a time that I missed somewhat, but I definitely enjoyed my time. I enjoyed my time. Going to prep school and deciding to leave Sauhegan to go to prep school was one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make, because I loved Sauhegan. I loved everything about my hometown, but I knew prep school was the right thing for me.
Hmm. And that's kind of the thing about those public schools is you're gonna play basketball with guys that you play other sports with too, and you're gonna play other sports. It's really hard to find, especially in New Hampshire, just guys that play one sport consistently throughout.
Hmm.
And I kind of am interested to hear it from you. Obviously, you didn't play a whole lot of games in like the public school setting, but how would you like define the public school competition in New Hampshire?
Um, I would say not good, not very good. And I've learned that especially like talking to, I guess, other players that I'm around about kind of what their original high schools or public schools were like basketball wise. And I think that obviously has a lot to do with just the school size and just there's not as many people, I guess. But yeah, it's pretty good for it's just a lot of guys that don't take basketball that seriously. That's the main issue. I remember there would be a couple of games. I remember one specifically where I was really excited to have two Division I coaches drive up all the way to Sauhegan to come watch me play. And so I was excited because it was cool for me at the time to have the coaches there and have my friends be there too. Like, it was just really fun. And there was a game where I don't exactly remember my stat line, but I had a triple double and I scored a lot, and I was just I was feeling really, really good. And after the game, I talked to one of the coaches, and he said, I'm walking up thinking he's going to offer me a scholarship, to be honest. And he came up and told me, he said, I really like your game. I think you could play for us one day, but I can't get a read on how good you are. The competition's not good enough where a lot of people can play well against bad competition, but it just wasn't enough for the coaches to see me, and they would say stuff like, "Oh, well, if you can commit to going to prep school, then I'll offer you a scholarship. If you tell me if you're going to go do a postgraduate year, I'll give you a scholarship." But at the time, this is kind of pre-COVID. I was not really sure what I wanted to do, and my goal was to be able to stay at Sauhegan. But just having coaches kind of come see me play really well, and then tell me that they could not get an accurate read on me because of the competition level, I knew what I had to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's pretty interesting because it's not really something you would think about. And obviously, you have confidence after a performance like that, and then they're kind of telling you these other things. So definitely influenced you to go off to South Kent.
Yep.
So yeah, talk to me about your time there. How was your transition into prep school ball?
Yeah, prep school was tough, especially starting out kind of right in the middle of COVID. So I went for my senior year and was planning on just doing my senior year at South Kent and then going to college the following year. But then just a few days before our first game, we were doing a rebounding drill, and I got elbowed right here between my eyes. So I broke my nose, broke this bone right here, got a bad concussion. And so I had to get surgery and ended up missing. It was a shortened season, but I ended up missing pretty much all of it. But that was my first time kind of living and playing and competing every day with really, really good players. Like one of the guys I was competing against every day, his name's Papa Conte. And he was committed to Michigan for a while, and he's now at Pitt. So just having guys of that high level, and like I was saying earlier, having Tom Izzo, Jawan Howard, having all these coaches that you're used to seeing on TV in the gym, and recruiting some of my teammates, it was a whirlwind at first. But I think being injured, it kind of had a silver lining if I could kind of get myself adjusted and realize I wanted to do a postgraduate year. And to really take advantage of going to South Kent, because if I just went to South Kent, got injured, didn't play, and then went somewhere, it would kind of be a little waste of my time, I would feel. So I realized I needed to do a postgraduate year. So then I knew I'd get an extra summer of AAU, and then I could go back to South Kent for my postgraduate year. My postgraduate year was much, much more fun than my first year, just because I was playing. I had experience already there. I was committed to Marist my entire postgraduate year. So I didn't have the kind of the stress that a lot of my teammates had about recruiting and that type of stuff. And I served as the school's head prefect, which is similar to like a student body president, I guess, at a public school. So that was really fun for me to do, and I gained a lot of experience from that. But yeah, South Kent was a crazy, crazy time in my life. I was just you or myself and that I was around is just trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives, and if they want to go to college, what they want to do. So it's just a very interesting place to be. And yeah, prep school is crazy time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So take me through some of your bigger performances while you were at South Kent.
I remember there was a go. One would be we played a team called Springfield Commonwealth Academy, um, and they were really good. They had a couple of guys who are really good. One guy named Isaiah Miranda. I think he's playing at USC now. Um, I could be wrong, but 7 foot. He was like either a 4 or 5 star, really good. And I knew I'd be matched up with them pretty much the whole game. So I just knew really kind of came into the game with I don't know, with the mindset of wanting to dominate my matchup. And I actually ended up playing pretty well. Had a couple dunks. I played pretty well. The games that I remember most are just against the best competition that I play against, really. I remember one really good game I had in it was a national tournament. Um, I was matched up with this guy, Kyle Filipowski, who now plays at Duke, and he is really, really, really good. And so same thing with that self and kind of show what I can do. So those are kind of games that I look to exert myself a little more and make myself known, just due to my competitiveness a little bit.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was really a lot of fun games playing in the national tournament, especially against Kyle Filipowski. And then I remember just my final national prep championship tournament. Um, it was kind of my final days of playing basketball in prep school, and it was just a lot of fun. I was actually just texting one of my best friends from prep school, Mike Rogan, plays at Fairfield. And I was just texting the other day some clips from our final tournament we played together because he threw me a lob, which we had been always talking about him throwing me a lob in game, and it finally happened. So that was pretty exciting to happen right in the final tournament.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that definitely is sick. You get those memories with those types of guys that, again, like you were just doing, you can text and talk about for the rest of your life. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned briefly some of your competition, like Kyle and like Miranda. But
Yep.
how about in conference in the NEPSAC? What was that competition like?
Really, really, really good. Um, Kind of once I got to prep school, and the EYBL is the same way. Most of the teams we're playing, they're going to have at least 6 or 7 Division 1 guys every team. So it's just I wouldn't necessarily say there was any games that or anybody, especially in the NEPSAC, that really, really stood out. Besides one guy, Matas Buzelis, I think.
Mhm.
He's going to be a top pick, I think, in coming up. But I remember him just because there was a lot of talk. People were talking about him a lot. There was a lot of media and stuff on him. And in the NEPSAC, everyone's really good. So it can be a little competitive in that way just because everyone thinks they're the best player. Every team thinks they're the best team. And yeah, it's just kind of an adjustment to every single player being good. Where at Sauhegan or earlier in my life, I'd probably be matched up with one of the best guys on the other team, but outside of that, there wouldn't be that good of competition. Like there'll be 1 or 2 guys on the floor who don't take basketball that seriously. Odds are, but when you go to the NEPSAC, everyone's there for a reason. Everyone's there to play college basketball. Everyone's looking to hopefully play in the NBA one day or get drafted or earn a full scholarship. So it's just it was an adjustment, and I would just say playing against a ton of Division 1 players.
Yeah, and how does playing against all that talent get you ready for being at Marist?
Yeah, it definitely gets me ready. one, just giving me the confidence that I can play and I have played well and successfully against really, really high level players. That just gives me a lot of confidence that I can go up against anybody and not be scared. Um, and yeah, I think at this point in my life, I think I've played so many really good players. I remember at EYBL, one of probably my best EYBL game I had played ever was against Derek Lively, Jalen Duran, and Amani Bates. So that was a really cool experience. But especially playing with those really high level guys, and I've played with some NBA players and pickup and summer runs and different things. Just playing against high competition just gives you so much confidence that you can compete at that level, and just gives you the confidence that I can do anything. I can do anything really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, no, and it's about those repetitions, obviously. Kind of like what you said earlier about exposure. Just you've been there so many times, it just becomes like second nature to you almost. So
Yeah.
it's really awesome to keep doing that over and over. And then, and excuse me if I butcher this, but I wanted to talk about your coach at South Kent, Coach Chilius.
Yep, exactly.
Nice. What's his coaching style, and how did he develop you personally?
Um, man, he's a different kind of coach. He he coached at South Kent, but when he was kind of first got into coaching, kind of when he played Division 1, and then when he first got into coaching, he coached at South Kent and coached countless NBA players: Dion Waiters, Isaiah Thomas, Andre Blatch, a lot of NBA players at South Kent. And then he went on to coach Isaiah Thomas at Washington. And then he coached at Villanova for a couple of seasons, at UConn for a couple of seasons, and then at East Carolina for a couple of seasons, which is where I came into contact with him. But he just really instills mental toughness in everybody. That's number one thing for him, I would say, is just really pushing us to our extremes so that we know that we can keep pushing when we get tired, that when things aren't going well, that you can still keep pushing and just learn a lot of lessons through really hard work. So that's how I'd say the biggest thing that he kind of taught me at South Kent was just making us run and get in shape, and the discipline that I'd never experienced at that point. So that really just gave me a lot of confidence that, wow, there's no way the other guys that I'm going up against are doing all this. And just kind of seeing how that can build my own confidence, my team's confidence, and how just kind of pushing through those hard times can actually benefit me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was reading his bio too. You kind of explained like half of it, but he's really been all over. And a guy with a lot of experience like that, it's just he's worked with so many people that are so many players that he's just gonna continue to take new players in and work towards getting the best out of them. So transitioning into kind of some more personal questions. What is it like before every game for you? Do you have any superstitions? Is there something that you need to do before every game?
Yeah, somewhat. I think it kind of switches around. The main thing for me is just having a set routine. So just on a game day, I don't want to be stressed out about anything. I want to have everything lined up. So I know exactly what I need to do. I'm not stressing about anything unnecessarily. And I just do the same thing, eat the same stuff. And then obviously as we get closer to the actual game time, really, really focusing on doing the same stuff really. I have one playlist I'll listen to. I go out, do the same shooting routine, pre-game, go back in the locker room, do a little meditation that I do before every game, and just kind of try to make it as similar as possible game to game, just so I have that confidence, and I always feel like I'm comfortable doing whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of guys that I've talked to, definitely more like a common reoccurrence that it's more routine based than more superstitions. How
Mhm.
about obviously you just finished your freshman year at Marist or getting ready for your sophomore year. A lot of anticipation coming in. Obviously, you get to be a Division One athlete, something you've looked forward to doing for a long time, I bet. And so, what's it been like for you so far?
Yeah. Um, yeah, like just like you said, being a Division 1 athlete, I looked forward to being my entire life and kind of had some expectations and ideas of what it might be like. But um, I think one of the things that really helped is that we do a summer training program. So we have to be here in the summer. So it was really nice to be here in the summer before I moved in the fall, my freshman year, so I could get adjusted, meet my teammates, which has been a big help. But yeah, it's somewhat of what I expected it to be. It's just really, really, really busy. There's a lot of fun times, a lot of stressful times, um, a lot of really good relationships that I'm making. But the one thing I'll say is it is so busy, um, especially now we're getting closer to the season. Just um, like, for example, this weekend, we have today off and we have tomorrow off. And this will probably be our this is going to be our last weekend off till after our season. So until March or so. And this will probably be our last 2 consecutive days off until that time as well. So it's just not a lot of free time. And being a Division 1 athlete, there's a lot of really cool things, getting gear, being able to travel, being able to meet a lot of people. But there's a lot of stress that comes with it too. Like I said before, being here, we used to be here for 8 weeks every summer. So that takes up a big chunk of my summer. Don't get to go home for Christmas. Really, like last year, I was home for about 36 hours for Christmas. Most of my teammates did not even get to go home. Thanksgiving, we're here. We're here for every holiday. We're here for spring break. We're here for a lot of time, and there's a lot of um, just a lot of grind that goes into it. But it's a lot of fun, and I get to do what I love doing, and just keep doing it. Even though it's very stressful, it's a lot of fun, especially um, kind of just going day to day and just love doing the same stuff at practice. And it can get boring, but we keep it fun. And yeah, it's a lot of fun, really.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's definitely tough to not get burned out, especially when you mentioned that this is your last weekend off for a long time, and it takes a lot of time out of you uh, to be that type of athlete. But yeah,
Hmm.
definitely not something you really think about when you're looking at it from the outside.
Yep.
Um, so you haven't been 6'8" forever. um, Kind of when did you hit your growth spurt, and what was it like adjusting as you grew taller?
Yeah. When I've always been a little tall for my age, I would say, but I guess I wouldn't say I really had a specific growth spurt, but I just kind of kept at the steady rate, always growing. So when most people stopped growing, I just kept going at the same rate I had been going. Um, so I don't know. It's kind of being tall now. It's interesting. Um, it there's a lot of stuff about being tall, I guess, that people probably don't think about too often. Um, but yeah, I mean, basketball wise, it was interesting because your height has so much to do with the position you play.
Mhm.
It was kind of hard because when I was younger, it's like you try to predict what position you're going to potentially be or how tall you're going to be. And then, of course, you could be taller for your position or undersized for your position as well. But just kind of trying to focus my training and a lot of my skill work on the positions that I'm most likely going to be playing. That was kind of one difficulty with always being tall is I didn't know if I just was going to be taller than everyone when I was younger, and then I would just stop growing and then I'd be the same height as everyone. Or I didn't know if I would just keep growing this like I did. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's weird being 6'8", I'll say, generally, but in basketball it helps a lot. And now that I kind of have grown into my body, I feel much better now, basketball wise. And I was younger, I kind of feel a little uncoordinated, not as athletic, but now I feel like I have a much better base to build on.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned too. It's hard to predict what position you're going to play. A lot of when people start to get tall, they just throw you on the block, and you don't really practice those. You don't really do anything that a guard would do, or vice versa. If you're short, you don't really. So, yeah. So it's cool to think about when you were growing up. You were just kind of
Yeah.
thrown into those positions. And then as you were growing up as well, is there any player that you looked up to, tried to model your game after?
Hmm. Um, Not really, to be honest. I wouldn't say there is really any specific player that I really modeled my game after. Um, I always loved like Paul Pierce. I was always a big Paul Pierce fan growing up, and I just loved that like he didn't have like the athleticism, or I mean he did to a certain extent, but not like LeBron at least.
Yeah.
And just how he could, especially those matchups, I used to always love watching. Um, but I'd say one guy I used to watch that my dad really likes that my dad kind of introduced me to is Detlef Schrempf, international guy. He used to play back in the day, but I don't know. I love players that can pass and just can see everything and just never look like they're out of control, and they can just have a level of calmness on the court. That's kind of some of the stuff that I really like to see.
Hmm. Yeah, no, growing up too, I love Paul Pierce. Not my favorite analyst of all time. Feel like some of his takes are
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
iffy
no,
at times, but
I agree.
he had all the confidence in the world when he was playing. Um, so after year one, what areas are you looking to improve, if any?
Yeah. I would say um I think just my general confidence on the court really is improved a lot this year. Um Last year I played behind maybe the best player in our conference, and who will probably be an NBA player soon, Patrick Gardner. And he was really good, and being able to learn behind him and kind of learn from him just so much and just absorb a lot of information that he had, was really key. So now this year, I'm feeling much more confident. I worked a lot this summer on my shot. That was kind of a direct kind of area of focus I had this summer, was just, excuse me, getting my shot more consistent, and just having it that I'm confident to just let it fly whenever, and just knowing that's going in. So I'd say just my general on court kind of feel and comfortability has improved a lot this year. And that's just, I think I'm getting older, more mature. But then I'd say my shooting, I've worked on a bit this summer. And then just kind of keeping everything, my body, I've been really working on my body a lot this summer, trying to eat healthier, prepare. I learned last year, it's a long season, and you got to be healthy for the whole season. It really takes in focus. So that's what I tried to work on this summer.
Hmm. And how would you describe your play style?
I think my play style is I can really do anything on the court. I think I can guard any position, play any position if needed. I try to always make the right play, get my teammates involved. I'd say probably my biggest strengths would be passing, and ball handling maybe, or just kind of comfortability, kind of controlling the offense a bit, because that was a lot of what I did in my early years of high school, was having the offense run through me. So I'm pretty confident with the ball in my hands, being able to make plays for my teammates. And then just defensively, I guess, kind of always just being in the right spot and just making all the effort plays and just trying to be the toughest guy out there, really.
Mhm. Yeah, no, definitely. Um, could bring a lot, especially from a player of your position. If you're able to see the floor, be comfortable in your hands, it's like kind of like a Jokic-esque like type of role. You're just
Yeah, yeah,
you like the ball in your hands, and you're gonna get your teammates involved. You're gonna see the whole floor, and that type of stuff.
yeah, for sure. I'm a big Jokic fan.
Yeah, one of the probably the best player in the NBA as of right now. So,
Yeah, I
uh,
agree.
now let's move into an off season for you. I know you mentioned you spent a couple months at the campus of Marist. What are some things you're doing during that time?
So during that time, really just practicing every day, and then everyone has to take class as well. So for me, I just took one class this summer, an online course, which wasn't too bad. It didn't take up too much time, and it's definitely an advantage to kind of get ahead on credits before the long season. Um, so yeah, that's just really a kind of time where the focus is on just building a team. Really, it's our first time that we're all together, the whole team, and it's a great time to get to know each other a lot, just because there's no other students on campus. There's nothing going on really, and we're spending a lot of time just kind of hanging around our house that we're living in. So it's just really, I'd say, to get us comfortable with each other and to let each other get to know each other, I guess. Um, then also getting ahead on credits and beginning to kind of start building chemistry between all the guys on the court.
Yeah, and it's that chemistry that I was gonna bring up next. Obviously, when you do all that stuff with each other, it's gonna grow and grow and grow. And when it comes to winning, I think personally, chemistry is up there for the most important thing that you could bring onto the court with you. So it's definitely cool to have a lot of that, and you spend a lot of time with those types of guys. In the past, is there any individual trainer or groups that you've worked out with?
Um, yeah, one guy that I trained a lot with um, was Devin Gilligan, is his name. I'm not sure if you are familiar with him at all, but he went to Sauhegan actually, um, and which is just it's just funny, just because I didn't know him through Sauhegan, and it was just kind of a funny coincidence that he went there. But he ended up going to Southern New Hampshire, and he was, I think, the two-time National Player of the Year for Division II. And now he's playing in Japan professionally, but he's had a long professional career. And so just to be able to work out with him whenever I'm home and play against him one-on-one and just learn from him a lot. He's just a really good guy and been a great resource for me to learn from. And then obviously, kind of what we were saying earlier, is there's not too many players that choose to play in college and um, or in New Hampshire and in our area. So to have another guy that really takes it seriously and has a lot more experience than I do is just really awesome for me, and I'm lucky to have him.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. No, I'm definitely gonna check him out. Not too familiar with him, but definitely sounds like obviously from his resume, he's quite the basketball player. So
Yeah.
definitely gonna have to check him out after this. And kind of as we wrap things up, I ask this to everyone that comes on the show. What are some things that we can expect from you and the guys headed into next season?
Yeah, I would say for our team, you can expect a MAAC championship, really. That's how we're all thinking, and we're really locked in this year, and especially with the experience we gained last year, we know what it takes. We know how hard it's going to be, but with that said, we know we have what it takes, and we can do it this year, and we really believe that 110%. So I mean, for me personally, I'm just looking to have a bigger role last year than I did last year, and whatever that means, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to help my team and help my teammates win. Um, and I think that's the mindset of so many guys on my team, which is why we're going to be really dangerous this year. Um, but yeah, I hope I can be on the court and helping all my teammates get these wins. So we're really just excited, and we'll be MAAC champions, I think, before too long. And we're just really excited for the opportunity to go try to win another MAAC playoff game and then eventually the championship.
Yeah, no, and you can't count you guys out, obviously. Confidence riddled squad, has some experience, year older, all that type of stuff. So I'll be making sure to check out you and the Marist squad this year. I know you take a trip to New Hampshire, might have to go over to that game. So yeah,
For sure.
again, Matt, good luck this year. I'll be watching. So thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.